Righty ho,
Okay.
one is live. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming today for the 2.6 challenge. This is to raise awareness of epilepsy, as most of you probably guessed. And today I would like to introduce our first guest, which is David Rose.
That's me.
That's him, who's with us for 5 minutes. We're going to be talking about rare disease and how David is involved with this. And the thing is, rare disease is so linked to epilepsy, not just because there are so many rare epilepsies, but because, well, we kind of get where each other are coming from to a degree, right, regarding rare disease and epilepsy. So please talk about what you do and your very unpronounceable rare disease.
I'll give you, it's called occipital horn syndrome. That's the name of the condition that I have. I was diagnosed with that 5 years ago at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. Up until then, I never had a proper name for the actual name of what I had. It was always kind of a loose diagnosis of something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a more common condition, still rare, but it's more well known over the last year or two. It was only as I got older where the symptoms and the kind of characteristics of my body changing didn't really fit with that diagnosis anymore. And that's what prompted him to do some testing. And then that's kind of how we got up to where we are today. It took about 3 years of genetics testing and different appointments with mum and dad and trying to build a bit of a family tree to see where kind of this might have all started from. So that was interesting.
So is it about genes that are passed on from your mum and dad rather than mutation?
Yeah, so it came from my mother's side, so it's passed down through my mum to me.
Ah, and is there any record of anybody else in your family having this?
No, so it's just me.
Not just the special one.
Yeah, it's just me that one, I'm afraid. So it's an X-linked recessive condition. That's how it came about. So as I said, obviously when I was going through the testing, we did a bit of a family history to try and work out if anything was unusual, but nothing really. It was just me that unfortunately had that side of it. So obviously we didn't know it was genetic, obviously, at the time. So.
And how many people have this rare disease?
It's hard to get an exact figure, but somewhere between 20 and 30 globally, of which there's me in the UK. I have spoken to another guy in Ireland over the last couple of months, so there is that recent development. But other than that, it's I know one guy in Germany, yeah, and then that's about it. So I think it's interesting though, because obviously you don't necessarily know that is the true figure, because people could have sadly passed away and not known that that's what they had, or people similar to me that could have had something, could have actually had it and been misdiagnosed, or never really sought that information. So it doesn't always mean that that's the correct figure, but I think regardless of that, it will still be very rare.
Yeah, and yeah, I remember when you were telling me this, and it made me think of the epilepsies, because I swear loads of people have epilepsy and they just don't know. If we've got 60 plus types of seizure, and you can have them to differing, like sort of, you can have more severe ones or less severe ones, and some people have like you can have up to 300 seizures a day, or you might have one a year.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just ignore the fact that they're having what they think might be a seizure because of their fear of discrimination and stigma and stuff like that.
Correct. I think that obviously my knowledge of epilepsy isn't that strong. I mean, you taught me a lot of what I actually know anyway.
Yeah.
But I think that I guess from, like, if you use epilepsy as an example, it's such a broad range of kind of symptoms. It's not so, like, if you typically think of epilepsy, you just think of someone having a seizure, but I wouldn't have a clue. If someone told me they have epilepsy, I wouldn't know how many times a day is normal. Like if you said to me you had
no such thing, yeah,
but that's the point, isn't it? So if you said you had 2 seizures a day, I would be like, okay. Or if you said you had 100 a week, I would say, okay. I wouldn't know from the outside. I wouldn't have a clue what's normal, like what's a normal amount.
But there is no normal, right? There is no such thing. So that's perfectly valid what you're saying. Like there is no such thing as normal.
And surely there's if obviously you said about there's different types of epilepsy. Surely if there's people with the same type of epilepsy, it will affect them differently as well, I'm guessing. Is that true?
Yes, exactly. So like, for instance, one of my friends, Dave, who's going to be, sorry, Daniel, not a terrible name like David.
Careful.
Yeah, I'm joking. Yeah, and he has temporal lobe epilepsy like myself, but our experience is completely different, completely and utterly different. There are similarities, but yes, they're, you know, different types of seizures, frequency, etc., etc. So, and actually, I think you mentioned once before, did you? I might have made this up, and here's my dodgy memory coming in. Did you say that it's quite common for people with your disease to have intellectual disability as well, learning difficulties?
Yeah, if you do a bit of reading onto it, it says that that's quite often a characteristic. It says average or below normal IQ. That's a kind of a point of it. Again, I don't know how you can really work that out because there's not really enough. Yeah, and there's, you know, if it was a common condition, you could sort of use that data and you could really work out a proper trend of things that might happen. But with the sparse amount of information that actually exists, then I don't really know how you can work that one out, to be honest. Because you're not basing it off enough people. The sample size is too small.
Exactly. And I guess this is why it's great if we can have more and more people or patients, whatever you want to call us, if they are diagnosed with a rare disease, or in fact something that isn't rare, if they're up for it, to be able to put themselves forward for research, because it's really quite exciting, isn't it? And it gives you something positive to do as well.
Yeah, I think that that's something actually that I wish I could do more with my condition. I've done a few little things here and there, but I would imagine that you've probably done a lot more than I have. But I guess that's sometimes is the problem with rare diseases, that people want to help, and not necessarily, it's not just doing it for them, they're doing it for people in the future that may have their condition, that they want to try and make their lives better. But I think that I think it's for everyone, but I think especially if you've got something ultra rare, there's less research on it, obviously. So I'm kind of putting myself out there to try and I would always do something, but I don't think really there'll be many opportunities that will probably come my way, if I'm honest.
Well, you do quite a bit with GOSH, don't you? Great Ormond Street Hospital.
Yes, I've been volunteering for GOSH for I think nearly 7 years now. So that was my kind of thing that I wanted to give back to. I spent a lot of time there kind of growing up and through the teenage years as well. So it wasn't just as a baby or a toddler. It's a long time I was there on and off. Obviously lots of operations, lots of procedures, and hundreds of clinic appointments. So
Over
obviously
100 surgeries, is that correct?
Yeah, I've lost track of the number.
You're so greedy, man.
It's a lot.
And funnily enough, everyone, GOSH is, if you don't know, adjacent to Queen's Square, which is a famous neurological hospital, which is my hospital for my epilepsy. So, yeah, I swear he goes to that place just to be honest. But look, we've totally gone over 5 minutes, so let's wrap this up. It's just so lovely. I feel that you can, and everyone can probably tell, we could like natter for ages, and we do.
I'll just tone this one down slightly.
If anybody wants to get hold of you, how would they do that?
You can email me at my work email address. Twitter, I think it's at DavidRose88. That's probably the best one to use.
Okay, and
obviously check out the magazine if you can as well. It's Rare Revolution magazine across all social media channels.
Yeah, Rare Revolution, by the way, everyone, is fantastic because they put up with me writing an article, of course, but David actually is, what's your job title with them again?
I work in business development for the magazine. So I've been doing that for two years actually, coming up next month. So
they are such a wonderful, wonderful organisation focusing on, funnily enough, rare diseases. So yeah, and it's really, really interesting. And you'll find that even if you don't have a rare disease yourself, you will be able to, you know, see similarities between yourself and all these people. We shouldn't be so isolated, you know, just because you have a rare disease or a rare diagnosis. I think we can all come together rather than people feeling so isolated.
Yeah, everyone can learn off each other, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much, Dave. And I will speak to you later. Cheers.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.